Jen, why don't you tell me about yourself and tell me about McMenamins? I think we started working together in like 2019 or something. And one thing that I'll say is I was very much looking forward to the prospects of even working with McMenamins because it's such a unique and cool company. And I met Mike Walker at Etix Blast and it was very excited that y'all hopped on board and it's been a journey together. But yeah, tell me who you are
Sure.
and and tell me about McMenamins. And I want to hear it from you because I just won't do it justice. It's such a special.
All right. So I'm Jen Carrizo, senior talent buyer for McMenamins. I book the Crystal Ballroom, the Spanish Ballroom, the Mission Theater, and I help facilitate other bookings throughout the company as well. Sometimes sending things over to Grand Lodge or Edgefield, which are our big summer concert venues. Mostly booked by Monkey, who's the promoter for those. But I've facilitated a few events their way as well.
Oh,
McMenamins is a hotel and pub and distillery and brewery company who happen to own a few venues.
got it.
So their number one seller is the burger and followed by the beer. And then they are huge music fans. The two brothers that started the company. And so they started buying up venues like the Crystal and the Spanish Ballroom and whatnot. So we just about do it all.
Yeah. Well, one thing let me ask you about it. The pubs and the venues are all, really, I think one thing that's unique about McMenamins is they're all kind of, if I'm saying it correctly, historic buildings or,
Yes.
non-traditional spaces. And isn't there like an old haunted like nursery that got turned into a venue or
We have all the old haunted buildings
yeah.
throughout Oregon and Washington.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so the White Eagle, which is one of our 150 cap room, probably the most haunted of the buildings that we have. It's a boutique hotel with the venue saloon downstairs. And on any given night, you can catch people running downstairs and kind of talking about, experiences in their room or whatnot. There's videos floating around TikTok with mediums saying that they've discovered certain ghosts and all kinds of weird experiences there. So it's pretty fun. But yes, their whole thing is taking old historic buildings and renovating them, but keeping their historical charm as
Yeah.
well. So
And the
it's a
and
really
the
great.
ghosts and
Uh,
oh, go ahead, please finish your
no,
thought.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say and the go it's a must have that the ghosts remain tenants of the buildings.
Absolutely, absolutely. We don't want them to go away. They add to the charm.
Yeah, and just to kind of speak to it, they're really magnificent venues. So anybody listening, if you're out in the Pacific Northwest, which is primarily where the venues are at, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yes.
Uh, Put it on your list to check out. They are whether there's a show happening or not, they're just really incredible. And there's also there's like the soaks are a feature of the hotels, right? Like you have really special soaks, which is once again another experience for anyone that's listening. Yeah.
Yes, a few of our hotels have a beautiful soaking pool. They're saltwater, they're heated, yeah, it's a really nice aspect of the some of the hotels that we have.
Yeah, absolutely magnificent. Well, thank you for that intro to McMenamins. And the venues that y'all are booking are really incredible venues as well. Um, Tell me a little bit about, first, am I right? I think it was 2019 or maybe 2018 when you first started using Prism, and you have
Yes.
a cool story in that the org was primarily planning stuff on the calendar, and then over time, even through the pandemic, the usage increased. So, I'll just, yeah, tell me about your usage of Prism over the year.
Sure.
Yeah,
When we first started using Prism, we really were just using it as a calendar and nothing more. We liked the process of the holds and confirming events and how it cleared out the rest of the holds. And just, it was an easy calendar for us to use, having you tried a few other programs. Eventually, during the pandemic, I was the only booker on hand because I had to clean up, the Crystal calendar and the Spanish Ballroom calendar. And I had some time on my hands and started really playing around and working out the offers on Prism and realized that it was a really great program to use and really easy. So I ditched the spreadsheets and just started doing everything on Prism. And as we started getting our bookers back and booking more music as things started opening up, I sort of went through a training with everybody and somehow became the resident expert on Prism.
I love that. I love that. And that was such a fun journey with you to see that happen.
Yeah.
Why what you had this beautiful experience of being, I don't want to say stuck, but used to an offer in a settlement process on a spreadsheet that was fine for you, and you didn't, and then you went from saying, all right, and the pandemic helped, but the slowdown set aside, why is it better to do offers and settlements at Prism versus the spreadsheets, and like what's really clicked for you in that? Yeah.
Um, what I really like about Prism is just that I have everything in there. And it's not just the offer and the settlement, a click at a click of a button, right? It's the whole show is in there, all my files, all my contacts. With the spreadsheets, you're missing that, and then you're just sort of having to create paper trails and paper files for everything else. So this is eliminated, having to print everything, having to print all my contracts, having to, you know, email a million different people, like, this is who you contact, here's the tour manager's contact, everything's just in there. And so it just made the whole process so much easier. And yeah, it just eliminated so many other steps,
Yeah.
just to put it all in one place. And that's what I really like about it. And I'm trying to get everyone in the company on board to go in and just, oh, you need a W-9, it's in Prism, instead of having to email us and say, I need a W-9. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah, we have some more potential stuff coming around W-9 and tax stuff. So maybe side note later, I have some ideas that I want to run by you. But how about settlement specifically? Has your life gotten easier kind of with like the ease of knowing that people are settling on Prism instead of, like is the spreadsheet going to break in the middle of the night and you're getting a call? And I don't want to like lead the witness too much, but
right. Yeah, no, I mean, yes, with a spreadsheet, there's always the possibility of accidentally deleting a formula
yeah,
or something, and all the numbers being wrong. I think with Prism, it's just so easy. It just does it for you, and there's no margin for error unless you're inputting the numbers wrong, which I've had production managers before forget to put in their actuals or their settlement numbers. But what's easy about it is I can go in there in real time and fix it all, and we're done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And y'all were a big kind of leader in helping etix get integrated. How much are y'all using the etix integration? And is that a helpful part of settlement and getting the actuals in? And yeah,
we use it every day for every show. Yes, it's huge. I just had someone who was on leave for a few years, so the integration happened while he was gone. And when he came back just a few days ago, he emailed me excitedly, when did this happen? And I was like, oh yeah, it happened while you were gone. But it's been great. And he's like, just ecstatic that that it's integrated now, and he doesn't have to go in and manually input numbers. And
just to double click on the etix integration, clients, I tend to find there's different things they like about the ticketing integrations. Like some people are, like the fact that, okay, if you have 100 upcoming shows and they're all integrated, like the ticket sales come in real time. So you get this, snapshot view of like the profitability of all of your events looking forwards. Some purely look at it as like a way to simplify settlement and financial reporting. Like what pieces of the integration stand out to you, if any, or is it just kind of just generally getting data into there? Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm using it just for the data, just for the ticket auditing.
Yeah.
I haven't gone in any further to pull any other reporting with the audits.
Yep.
Our accounting is working on that, and we are. And I know that we have an accountant that does, try to audit everything on Prism and etix to make sure all the numbers are correct. And so far, we haven't had any complaints from him. So
great. Yeah. Glad to hear it. Over the years, have you, one thing that we pride ourselves in the company is that we are like constantly building new stuff. Like, can you, the etix integration is a great example. If someone goes on leave and they come back and it's there, have you had the experience of like kind of Prism changing in real time and specific features that weren't there that were there, and what's been your general experience with us in terms of like how
Yeah.
technology has evolved? Yeah.
Um, a couple of things that I really enjoy that kind of happened overnight was the co-pro deals.
Yeah.
I love being able to just kind of point it out to my staff, like, hey, this is a co-pro, this is what the deal is. And then the Prism Insights has been super key, and I really love the addition of that.
Insights was this like fun thing that we launched, and we're promoting it very rigorously right now. So I'm glad you brought it up. Like, what was your experience with Insights? Like, I think if you could start in terms of like the decision to jump in on it and the pros and cons to it, and then after you've jumped in on it, how do you use it and what's the value there? So yeah,
Yeah.
kick it off. Yeah.
So Mike Walker pitched it to us. He had, I don't know if he spoke with you about it or how he found out, but he came to our meeting one day and pitched it to us, and all of us bookers enthusiastically said, yes, we want to try it. It is, I find it more valuable than going into Polestar, because I feel that Polestar numbers are skewed.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting the right averages to base an offer on. But I can see in real time, okay, these are other venues. This is how much, how many tickets this artist is really selling. So I'm able to offer on something more real than just kind of, the guessing game, right?
Yeah.
So it's been pretty valuable in helping us formulate our offers.
Amazing, amazing. Do you feel that yeah, I mean obviously Polestar is just kind of the other, data source, and a lot of people say if the information is in there, because it's self-reported and oftentimes reported by the agent, like generally people are a little skeptical of it. I've definitely gotten that. I've also gotten a perspective that was interesting to me, that there's information and insights that's not in Polestar because some of the people who traditionally don't report to Polestar report to Prism. So has that been the case for you too? Like, do you find that in certain bands or certain situations, there's just subjectively more data in insights, or is it comparable? Or yeah.
I think it's just it's different data, but I feel like it's real data,
Yeah.
With Polestar, I'm having to kind of go in and try to really dig deeper to get the numbers that I really want, and the averages that I really want. There's so many festivals or soft tickets or whatnot that could really skew the information that they have, where I'm looking at actual data on Prism, actual sales from venues, from real venues. I do find that most of the markets that are reporting on Prism are a little smaller. So I have to, kind of take that in consideration as well. But I think regardless, it's the data is far more real on Prism than I feel it is on Polestar.
I love that. Love that. Yeah, I think the fact that it comes from people who are using Prism for their accounting and their integrated ticketing system, like we're not publishing like a top venue list, so that immediately like he says, oh, if you care about getting on our top venue list, then you're going to report a certain way, or if it's agent controlled too. I love agents, and I think they're an important part of the market, but I definitely heard some people out there that say, oh, they get a call the next morning from a show that doesn't go so well, and the agent doesn't want the show to hit Polestar, and
correct. But we're not getting those numbers on Polestar, whereas I'm seeing that, they only sold 25 tickets here. Okay, that makes it a little more real. So
I talk to more and more agents about insights, and they're aware of that difference between Polestar versus insights, and I've been surprised at some of their understanding around, like, yeah, like in some regard, like they kind of get that, like, okay, it's people know that data is gated, and they could, the agents could either hold on to, like, well, we only want it to hit Polestar because we can control it, or they can ask themselves, like, if they actually believe in promoters having a really kind of true data source. And a lot of them have actually been very friendly towards insights for that reason. They said, all right, you know what, like, Polestar was this last generation, and promoters, it's not such a bad thing in the world for promoters to have real data. And it's funny because a lot of them will bring up, well, insights doesn't say if there was like some competitive show down the street, or there was a bad weather, or whatever. And then my response to that is like, well, yeah, I mean, it's just data, and every promoter can kind of make their own discerning.
Sure.
We're not going to look at the bad show in Chicago and say, oh, I'm definitively not going to make an offer as a result. Like it's just a data point, and
Right.
more data that. And my response to them is like, well, hey, I actually think that means that we just need more and more data so that it kind of flushes out. But anyway, I'm so happy that you all hopped on Insights, and we our goal is to kind of keep adding more and more data and to grow the markets as well. So just to make it even even more helpful down the road. But I'm so glad to hear that it's already helpful in its current state. We're less than a year into launching so far, so
Right. Yeah. No, it's been
yeah.
great. It's been a really, really good resource for us. And the way I see it too is you have the larger promoters like AEG or Live Nation who have their own networks of being able to get that data.
Yes.
And for an independent promoter who is only in the Pacific Northwest and not anywhere else, it's great to have that network as well.
Yes. And this is another thing that I bring up to agents also is I was like, hey, whether I do insights or not, Live Nation and AG have these giant data sets and they don't just do, we only share ticket sales data. If you're a Live Nation venue, you get offer data and and expenses and marketing budgets and all these things. So, I basically just tell the agents, I'm like, hey, look, like whether we do insights or not, and by the way, we're gonna keep doing it. But Live Nation has this big thing, and I think we all want independent promoters to have a shot at staying independent and not sending every show to Live Nation or AG. So that's really the intention behind this, is to help support the independent promoters out there. And I'm really delighted to get the feedback that you're saying here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, what anything else just around Prism that stands out, or yeah, this I guess just general. This has already been a lot of really good information, but yeah, anything else that you feel like you want to say, or that's helpful that we haven't covered?
Um, Gosh, I think we've covered most of it. I mean, it's just been a really easy program for me to use. Currently, I'm covering another one of our bookers who's on vacation, and it's easy for me to just populate his calendars into my view and just be able to seamlessly cover, give holds and whatnot. I don't know. I'm constantly pushing Prism, especially throughout the company. I'm trying to get all our accountants on it.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about reporting, like if we can, after this,
Yeah,
talk
let's
more
do
about
that. Yeah.
reporting. Because we are working on trying to streamline some of our accounting processes, and if we can get Prism to do certain things, I think everyone's just going to live on Prism in our company.
Yeah, I can't wait to have that conversation, and that's
Yeah.
definitely our goal. That's definitely our goal. So okay, that's great to hear. Well, one thing that I like to do during these case studies is just to kind of pass along like helpful information across, people that are going to listen to this as other independent promoters. And if you don't mind, I'd love to just, kind of zoom out of Prism for a second and just ask
Sure.
you how are the venues doing? What's working for you? There's definitely kind of a vibe out there that it's a little bit of a tougher time. I'm curious if you've seen that. Like alcohol sales are a big discussion. So anyway, I just threw about 10 different things at you at once. But yeah, why don't we just start with like how are the venues doing? What's working right now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has this year has been a little rougher than most years. In terms of ticket sales, we've noticed a lot of returning acts who may have sold out or have done really well in the past are not selling as much. I don't know if they're returning too soon in the market. Usually 6 months, 6 or more is where you want to be, but we're noticing that the returning acts just aren't selling as many tickets, and absolutely alcohol sales are definitely going down. We're noticing more and more people that aren't necessarily drinking alcohol. So we're coming up with ideas to offer more NA beverages, CBD drinks. Oregon is now able to sell THC drinks as well. I don't know how soon we're going to integrate that into the venues,
Yeah.
but that's definitely a possibility as well. Yeah, we're just trying to kind of keep up with the changing trends, to stay viable and be able to keep opening our doors. The alcohol sales are definitely huge and what help keep us open, because that's how we're able to pay for the venue staff.
Mhm.
So yeah, these changing trends have been hard, but I feel like we're keeping up with them.
Good, good. Um, I mean, good that you're keeping up with it.
Yeah.
It is the it's painful to hear about the macroeconomic headwinds that everyone is facing because what
Hmm.
can they do about it besides get creative, like you were saying, and offer the NA stuff. That's really interesting about THC. I'm curious to find out if you end up getting into that and how that works out. And are people buying three of those drinks, or do
Right.
moderate it? Or does it a total replacement? Yeah, I'm super curious to see how that all shakes out. Do you have any general sense of? I mean, this is a crystal ball like question, pun intended, with Crystal Ballroom. Um, but do you have any sense of like why things are? I mean, the alcohol sales are one thing, but why ticket sales are down generally? Is it like tightness in the economy, or like what's
That's what I'm thinking.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm thinking that it's an economic thing. People are feeling the belts tightening a little bit with being able to spend money. I also blame the Live Nation type uh um festivals or just larger shows where you have to put a deposit down and make monthly payments. So your monthly pay, your $100 monthly payment for one show, those months could be spent on other shows, but you're not able to spend it because you're still paying off that one
yeah,
large arena show or whatever it is.
yeah?
So I feel like that's generally hurting the smaller venues.
Yeah, it's painting a picture that overall ticket sales are up across, the entire live music market, but it's too broad of a paintbrush stroke to say that because it's, yeah, in one segment, there's more arena shows than there's ever been, but it's
Mm-hmm.
pulling from the clubs, and I wonder where that shakes out over time. And all I can do is be hopeful, but that's definitely a pattern that I've seen out there. In Portland, do you think has there been more arena shows that have picked up and that kind of stuff that you're competing with, or regional festivals? Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely more festivals. There's definitely more Moda shows. Ridgefield in Washington is doing a lot of bigger shows. Um, and Providence Park is also now doing shows here and there, which is our
Interesting.
soccer arena.
Yeah.
Um, and they just started doing shows again after 30 years last year. So I am seeing a lot of these bigger tours coming through.
Mhm.
Um, and they're not cheap. They're not feasible for a lot of the people. So they're putting a lot of their savings into it and not spending on, other smaller shows.
Yeah. With the whole kind of Klarna payments plans or whatever. I heard that
Right.
Cello was 60% took out a loan for their Coachella ticket. And I hadn't thought about that being a downstream effect around, well, you're paying $100 a month, and that's money that you couldn't use going to a local show.
Right.
Well, I hope it plays out and balances out, and I hope I'm also kind of curious about like how many new artists are emerging. Like I think that's a positive thing, and that over time, the live music market as a whole grows and not just the tip top. But we're gonna have to wait and see how this all shakes out over the next couple of years.
For sure. Yeah.
Has 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 all in ticketing are you I assume you had to make the change to advertising all in up front. What's been your experience with that, and has it been challenging, or are you excited about in the long run? How is it in the short run? Yeah, let's just crack open that conversation.
Yeah. So it started out actually pretty great. You constantly get emails. Oh, I saw that this show was $25, and why is it when I go to check out it's $35? You get
Yeah,
those emails all the time, and we started doing all-in pricing, and that just kind of died down.
yeah,
But what we started getting was, especially with the local artists, when we built the tickets and we would send them the ticket link with their all-in pricing, they couldn't understand. Well,
yeah,
I thought our ticket was $20. Why is it 30? Well, no, this is all-in pricing. This is the ticket plus the fees. Well, our people aren't going to buy the tickets then if they're $30. I'm like, well, they probably would anyway if they're already going to the ticket purchase page. So we decided to just take prices out of our advertising and just not advertise the all-in or the advance or whatever it is. And then
interesting.
by
Yeah,
the time you get to the ticket purchase page, you've already made that decision to buy the ticket.
yeah,
So, you see that it's $30 and all in, then you're like, well, okay, that's not too bad. I'm going to buy it. So,
interesting. Yeah,
yeah.
that's clever. Just to like you went from advertising the lower price to advertising the higher price and just saying, you know what, we'll just it kind of makes sense based off of other industries. I got this Instagram ad for this like surfboard that has a motor in it, and it didn't tell you it was $25,000 until you go to the page, and then I'm not going to put down $25,000 for a surfboard.
Right.
But I was like, dang it, like I'm already, had I seen 25,000 up front, I think it's totally reasonable to just.
Yeah.
It's such a simple innovation, but I haven't heard anyone do that yet. And
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah,
clever
it
one.
makes sense. I mean, I get the Instagram ads all the time, especially for wellness products. And,
Yeah,
I get to the point where I'm at the purchase page and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I will throw down $40 for this or whatever it is. But I
yeah,
can make that decision then. And then, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's just it's working out better for us to just not have the price up front and give people sticker shock right away.
good. Yeah, I like the solution that you found. And yeah, there's a big question floating around that I'm hearing, which is, does is consumer behavior going to change? And like on one side, you would assume a certain group of people, like yeah, they got the lower price advertised up front, but they've done they've seen it inflate over checkout so many times. It's like hard to believe that people were surprised about this switch where it's just where they don't get that there's not this inflation. So a lot of people are wondering. I'm wondering myself if ticket prices are going to be driven down because of this, or will they stay the same? And consumers just generally adapt to the fact that, like, yeah, they're getting they're seeing a higher price up front sooner, but they're relieved knowing that it's not going to get bumped at checkout, and
Right.
that's kind of a open question. But from your shows, have you seen one? Have you seen any data that points to a drop in ticket purchases because of the upfront price outside of the advertising thing that you mentioned, which I think is
Yeah.
like, yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think that that's driving people away because people know that there's going to be fees
yeah,
regardless. They'll complain, wow, $12 fees on this show or whatever. But they know that the fees are there and they're going to still buy the ticket because they want to go to the show. What
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah,
I'm seeing, more and more, I'm seeing the local artists wanting to bring their ticket prices down to keep the all in at a certain price point because they're concerned about their audience. So I'm seeing that, those prices coming down because of the artist. I'm seeing it every once in a while. There might be a touring artist that will ask, okay, well, what is it all in at this price point? If we work backwards and come up with a ticket price. So, I mean, in a sense, there's a small percentage of artists bringing their ticket prices down, but overall, I don't think they're going to really come down that much
yeah.
because touring is getting just so much more expensive now.
Yeah, that's the other side of the equation. I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to an agent the other day about just about what would it take for guarantees to come down, and he made the point to me that, well, the artist doesn't, they don't want to take all the risk on this tour, and the guarantees could come down, but then the production would come down, and you want to go back to having a person on the stage with a guitar. And I kind of thought, I didn't say this to him, but I thought in my head, and I was like, well, maybe we don't need as much production that like drives
I
all the profit.
agree.
Right?
I
Yeah.
agree. If the artist is good enough without all the lights and backdrops and video walls and all that, I think we can go back to just plug and play. Like let's bring that back. We just want some solid rock shows.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, or at least be open to it. Yeah, it's okay
yeah,
with all that stuff. And yeah, and just having talked to a lot of agents, they see a band, get that stardom pop, and just spend all the profits on production on the tour, assuming the next 10 tours are going to come, and you just don't know as an artist.
yeah,
If you do the more plug and play tour and just have a really, and God forbid, the next 10 tours don't happen, like that could be life changing money for that artist. So
yeah,
anyway, I think it's a curious industry conversation. And I've heard
sure.
people saying, well, we can't go back from all this production, but I now I'm starting to hear this. It's like, well, why not? Why not? Like I'd pay for my favorite bands whether or not there's production. Like it's always a pleasant surprise when the production's really cool, but I'm never really expecting it, or as a ticket buyer, like I'm never expecting it or buying it for that reason. Like I'm going to
Right,
see, Black Pumas because of I love their music or whatever. And
exactly.
yeah, our Hermanos guitarist, like the other day, they had like their production was like one little like wood sphere in the background. I'm like, that probably doesn't cost that much money, and it's a cool little effect, and it's just
Right,
it's
and
on stage, Yeah,
yeah, exactly. You're going to go see them anyway because you just want the two brothers on stage,
yeah,
playing their guitars. Yeah.
Have you had them at your venues?
I've had them, yes. They played the Mission Theater and sold it out their first time in Portland. And I think they played Rev Hall after that, and then they played our Grand Lodge venue,
Oh,
which is our 3,000 outdoor cap room. And that was incredible.
oh, I wish I could have been there.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good place to wrap. And again, just full circle. I've always really admired the venues that y'all have and the love that goes into them. And you do a great job booking them. So,
Thank you.
yeah, cheers on being a part of an amazing company and doing great work. And thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you again. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.